This day in history. Let's hit it.
Here is a bulletin.
This day in history.
The rest is history.
All right, guys, this day in history, July 20th, 1969, Neil Armstrong walks on the moon, allegedly. To understand it, though, we've got to go back to July 16th. Apollo 11 took off.
No, wait a minute.
Kennedy
Hold
Space
on a second. We don't need a space lesson from you. Okay,
Oh,
we don't need
there's
to walk
layers.
through the steps of how Neil Armstrong took one giant leap for mankind. Okay, we don't need that sort of lesson from you. Okay, we don't.
Okay.
Put down the paper. And what do you mean
that's so many good facts.
What do you mean allegedly?
I'm not saying Neil Armstrong
What are you saying?
didn't walk on the moon on July 20th, 1969.
Hold on. What are you saying?
I'm just not saying that he did walk on the moon in 1969. I don't know, man. There's a lot out there. Why do we never really go back? Why have we not been back since?
Because it's
The flag waving
Okay.
in a vacuum of space like it's blowing in somewhere in the California desert where they shot this. And you say that like I'm some crazy person, but listen to the man himself. Here's what Neil originally said when he landed.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
And
Yes.
the funny thing about
Sounds
that is
great.
that it was garbled. He said for a man. It didn't come through that way, and he's been noted to say that. But then if you listen to the full tape, he says this later.
It has a stark beauty all its own. It's like much of the high desert of the United States. It's different, but it's very pretty out here.
Much like the desert of the United States, where this was shot.
Meanwhile, everybody on this set, Nick just gave me a furrowed brow.
Come on.
Casey is actually tapped out, and normally he's locked in on the conversation.
When the Eagle
No, hold on a
landed,
minute.
there was no impact.
Did you ever
from the
see
crater.
Capricorn 1?
I've never even heard of Capricorn 1.
Capricorn 1 is a movie that O.J. Simpson was in.
Oh, well,
where
credibility.
where they faked the Mars landing. Where they basically faked a landing on Mars because I don't want to get too deep in the weeds about the plot. This is crazy. So do you have a list of great sports of conspiracy theories?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you believe, for instance, that the 85 NBA draft was rigged in favor of the Knicks and Patrick Ewing?
That I actually
As
kind
the
of do
story
believe.
goes, you remember there weren't ping pong balls back then. They were envelopes.
They're frozen
in
envelope
sort
and
of
chilled.
this big sort of like mixer.
Like a bingo
Like a bingo ball,
Yeah.
and they would mix them
Yeah,
up.
totally.
And Stern would reach in and pull an envelope out and put it at 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. And the rumor had it that they put the Knicks envelope in a freezer, so the commissioner knew that if he touched a very cold envelope, to leave it there until the last one. That's the conspiracy theory about the 1985 draft. You believe that, Brockman?
I think that is more probable than not.
Very plausible.
Do you believe it or not? You can't just play, certainly about the moon landing as a half measure.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying the moon landing didn't happen.
So what
I'm
are you-
saying that I could believe this. In today's money, we spent over $100 billion in an attempt to get there. It was country pride at the time in a
Right.
race with the
Different
Soviets.
time.
We had already had a failed mission where we lost some lives. I'm just saying this is a believable conspiracy theory.
How about the one where David Stern suspended Michael Jordan for a year and a half
Yeah.
for gambling, and Michael Jordan conveniently retired and went to play baseball?
Which everybody says is false. That didn't happen. Do you believe that? That Jordan
I
did
don't-
not, of his
I
own
don't
volition,
believe
stop
that-
playing basketball?
I don't believe that one as much, thanks to the 30 for 30 and the things that
Yeah.
were going on around Jordan
Right.
in his life. at
What
that
else do you
point in
have there,
time.
Brockman? What other sports conspiracy theories?
Well, the NFL destroying the tapes in Spygate so people wouldn't really know what the Patriots were in fact learning at those Rams practices they filmed that Marshall Falk says is the reason why
Brockman,
they
do you
lost the
believe
Super
that?
Bowl.
Do you believe that?
I have no comment on that.
Mr. 345 Park Avenue is the big boogeyman that hates everything about the Patriots. Did a major solid, if this is true. Major solid reputations, Hall of Fame reputations on the line. and the commissioner did you a big time solid. Oh, that's conveniently forgotten. Do you believe that or not?
I have no comment.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.